Welcome back to Retro Rebound. In today's video, I did it again. You made me do it again. I played another Sonic game, this time Sonic Heroes. And you can't help but look at that name without the theme playing in your head. Sonic Heroes. Fully ingrained in my head. This one was a really conflicting experience for me. As many of you know, I went from Sonic hater to Shadow lover to now playing, I think I've played like 5 or 6 Sonic games in the last year. It's been disgusting. A lot of it documented here on this channel with my adventures through Sonic Adventure 1, Sonic Adventure 2, and now I'm playing what is considered the final piece of the great Sonic game trifecta. Many people love this game. This came with my original Xbox I ordered to celebrate the 20th anniversary of Xbox, so you may recognize this Platinum Hits copy. And so we're going to go through the complete in-box experience and my first time with this beloved classic. So let's start off by reading the box. And of course, if you're new here and you're into more nostalgia and retro content, consider subscribing. Certainly this won't be the last time we talk about Sonic. Or Shadow, if you catch my drift. All right. Join the team. Sonic has returned with his longtime pals, Knuckles and Tails, to defeat the evil Dr. Eggman. Through teamwork, this powerful group of heroes, along with 3 other newly formed super teams, must dash past, soar over, and bash through the villainous Eggman's forces. In this fight for world domination, which team will you join? You can see here along this side of the casing, it's got Team Rose, Team Chaotix, Team Dark, and of course, Team Sonic, each one composed of multiple members of the squad that you're likely familiar with. Team Sonic is, of course, Tails, Knuckles, Sonic. Then you got Team Dark with Rouge, Shadow, Gamma. Then you've got Chaotix with Espio. Espio? I'm new to this. I think Espio, as well as Vector, and I keep calling him Chumpy. His name is Champy. And then Team Rose is Amy, Big the Cat, and Cream the Rabbit. Funny names they got here. Anyway, the rest of the box says Team Sonic, Team Dark, Team Rose, or Team Chaotic. Choose one of 4 teams. Effortlessly switch between allies to fight evil, solve puzzles, and explore huge environments. Astonishing variety with 14 stages with unique paths and adventures for each team. And multiplayer battles let you compete in an assortment of mini games. Now, cracking it open. Here we've got just a nice, close to a Windows background here with the Sonic Heroes logo. I know it's the sky. Relax. And then inside we've got the manual. Let's see how this is looking. Black and white. Unfortunate for sure. This is the con of the Platinum Hits version. I'm kidding. I'm slandering. One little interesting thing I wanted to point out here that I noticed when going through this manual is right here for Dr. Eggman. It says he's a romanticist, a feminist, and a self-professed gentleman. And according to the Sonic community, this is the only time you learn canonically that Eggman is indeed feminist. Thought that was kind of interesting. With a mysterious monster that I'm sure all of you are already aware of. But this is how the game introduces you to all these different characters, their age, their backstories, because some of these are kind of new. As far as I'm aware, this was the next game in the Sonic game release lineup, not including some in-betweeners here or there. But Team Chaotix was introduced in a much older Sonic game, but someone like Cream the Rabbit was, as far as I'm aware, considered somewhat new. But anyway, I'm way in over my head here. So let's get into the experience itself with the strategy guide promotion on the back. Pretty decent complete in-box experience there. All right. I mentioned this is a conflicting experience. That does not mean that I dislike this game. I actually think when everything is working, Sonic Heroes is, brace yourselves, the most fun Sonic game I have played. The sheer variety of stages and team diversity here. Oh my gosh, I had so much fun. Like the opening 7 stages of Sonic Heroes are nothing short of a dream. Then I hit Rail Canyon. I was like, all right, I'm kind of feeling like I'm getting cheaped out by the game. I'll explain why. You get back into those good vibes eventually with Frog Forest. I love Frog Forest. Then you go back into some down times with like the Haunted Mansion. And then the Eggman Fortress is kind of hit or miss for me. So there's a lot of good stuff in here. There's a lot of hit and miss stuff. But I will say this, and you can quote this in whatever videos, you can clip it, I don't care. My hands have never been this clammy in a video game, and I played Elden Ring this year. This game had me so tight and wound up. I was nervous doing some serious 3D platforming here. That was a good feeling of classic gameplay that I have literally forgotten about. I forgot what it was like to have a true tense 3D platformer. Now, the reason I was intense is for good reasons, bad reasons. This game, especially in the dark story mode, less checkpoints, very punishing at times. It demands perfection and mastery. However, on the other side of the coin here, I was nervous because some of these controls are slippery. If you're playing as, we'll call them the big characters, like Big the Cat, Gamma, Knuckles, Vector, their combo attacks when you're fighting enemies are like on slip and slides, and you can dash off a level if you are careless in a heartbeat. And I'm like, is that a me problem? Is that a game problem? Because again, you're just sliding over the place. Am I supposed to get that reckless? And then you're fighting with the camera a little bit, sometimes missing a dodge or two. And then the worst thing is when the game truly fails you and you hit like a speed bump and it just sends you flying off the stage and you die for reasons that were out of your own hands. There was a time, way too many, that was occurring in Sonic Heroes. And I can even confidently say that did not happen in my time with Adventure 1 and Adventure 2. For what problems I had with Adventure 2, I did not feel like often enough the game failed me, and most times it came down to my own skill. This does happen a lot in Sonic Heroes, but there were a ton of times I was like, man, the game cheated me. And then you get to 0 lives, and it's suddenly game over. You're back in the main menu, and my hands are in my face. I'm like, no, because the reality is this. I don't think I'm very good at these games, but I like them a lot. So Sonic Heroes took me about 16, 17 hours to get through, and I'm a young adult at the ripe age of 26, and I'm seeing people online say, it took me 10 hours. I'm seeing long plays on YouTube, 6 hours, 7 hours. It took me so long to get through this game because I kept dying, but here's where I fell in love. A lot of people think Sonic Heroes is this repetitive game that you go through the same stages over and over and over, and there's no diversity. For me, as someone who started off with Team Sonic, went to Team Rose, then Chaotix, and then ended with Dark, because I have to end with my boy Shadow. I love Shadow. I was like, this feeling of actually gradually getting better, and each subsequent playthrough shrinking down more and more, to the point where Team Dark, there were some runs I was doing, like on Seaside Hill, where I was like a god tier Sonic player. The amount of quick shortcuts I was hitting, it felt so good. Seaside Hills, one of the best Sonic levels of all time. Frog Forest, one of the best Sonic levels of all time. There are so many levels in this game that are so good. That's why I got so sad when this game failed me. And I think it's really just when combat happens. So, like I said, the diversity of this game is its biggest strength, and I think it's its biggest weakness. As the back of the box says, you're going to have moments where, you know, you're solving a puzzle. Sometimes you'll have to fly around as like Rouge, and you'll drop off Shadow at one switch, you'll drop off Gamma at another switch, and you'll hit another switch, and some door will open. Sometimes it's a combat challenge for the door to open. You'll have to punch your way through as Gamma. That's cool and all. I like that stuff. But what happens is a lot of times when combat occurs, I felt this confusion swarm me, where these enemies had particular archetypes that I couldn't solve. For example, the armored enemies with the big helmets. They had so many points on them that if you touched them, you took damage, and they were so big, and especially towards the latter parts of the levels, they're in such confined spaces that I kept dying over and over and over, and combat became such an obstacle. And it felt like at times they had made the formula for Sonic, which was very successful, overly complex. Because I get the vision after playing Adventure 1 and 2, what they were thinking for Sonic Heroes. It's like, okay, we've got all these adventure games that split these player types into a variety of stories. What if we put them all on the teams and you could use their abilities kind of organically together, and there's this feeling of real chemistry? And there are moments where it's working, where there's like an enemy above you. It's like, okay, Sonic will jump attack that. And then you'll have Tails throw his Thunder Shot and stun an armored one to then switch over to Knuckles. And because it's armored, but it's down now, he can reach them and punch them out. It's in those moments this game is like bliss. It's so well designed. But again, there are times where you'll fight those big armored enemies, and I'm just there killing time, throwing my friends at them, which is, by the way, a cool little mechanic there, that your jump attacks with the big characters are actually like throwing your companions. I think that's awesome. And then only to get to the end of the mission and get an A rank. And I'm like, so it's supposed to take this long? Because again, I'm sitting there thinking like, wow, I am burning time off the clock. And don't get me wrong, I got a number of E ranks, but oh my God, The amount of A ranks I got for missions I was like taking forever on, I was feeling bad about myself. It made me realize this game slows things down a lot. I find all of that funny with the timing of these missions, because I remember when I played Sonic Unleashed, which we'll talk about at some point this year, that those levels got cranked on for being super long, and particularly the Werehog levels, of course, because they were like 18 minutes long. But there were missions in this game that took me upwards of like 15. But all in all, the soundtrack here was a banger. The gameplay, when it didn't fail me, was superb, making this probably my favorite Sonic game right now. I think Adventure 1 is awesome, but I really preferred Sonic's gameplay above them all. And I felt like this game never sacrificed that. Kind of like how I felt, if you remember, when I spoke about Adventure 2. Sonic Heroes, I never felt left behind any particular playstyle. They were always there. It's just about when you want to use them. And it did have a sheer amount of variety. So overall, even in the most frustrating moments with Sonic Heroes, I had a lot of fun. And again, it had me really clammy. Like, my Xbox controller was disgusting. It was so clammy. I felt bad if anyone ever had to touch that thing, because I am not that type of gamer, but I was perspiring during this experience. That is approaching cinema right there. So with that, speaking of cinema, let's talk about Sonic's story. This is where I was really disappointed. I thought the best surprise that Sega could have given me, as someone who is a Sonic hater, was coming into Adventure 1 and 2, and especially Adventure 2, and being like, we're going to leave a lasting impact on you. Adventure 2 with Shadow's story, my man Shadow, incredible stuff. I got to be honest. Like, that actually had a lasting impact on me. Still to the point where I smile and think about it. I literally bought this Hyper Shadow plushie when I saw it at a store. Look how amazing he looks, man. I love Shadow. I really do. I was so disappointed after having that revolutionary experience of like, I get it. This man's the key to a good Sonic story, aren't you, Shadow? When I finished Sonic Hero's story, which I have some issues with how they even organized that conclusion, mind you, it wasn't bad. It was just like, man, there was no care at all for this story. Not in a way of like delivery. It's just nothing really happens. Every single team begins with an opening cutscene. Like, you see Chaotix in this detective office. I thought that was kind of a cool vibe. Get a feel for what these characters are like. Amy's looking to marry Sonic. Sonic's trying to figure out what their next mission is. Shadow's trying to figure out what his memories are. And it's kind of interesting because obviously this takes place after Adventure 2. And you're like, didn't Shadow, die? And he's there. And they do provide answers to that, which is, again, why Team Dark stays winning. But each of them open up. They fight the same bosses throughout the whole entire game, which I would like to share now that these boss fights are probably the #1 source of my pain and agony. I really struggled on some of these. This was like the heart and soul of, wow, I've spent like 8 minutes on this boss. I feel like Sonic players would probably be done with this in 2 or 3 minutes, only to get an A rank and go, what? That took me forever, though. Was it really supposed to go that long? These boss fights were super frustrating. Like the Eggman final boss fight with his patterns, like where if you get too far, he dashes you. If you get too close, he stops you. He uses these multiple range attacks at once. Eventually, you get a hang for his pattern, but then you gotta go through this nauseating frame rate. It was just a game that was trying to do too much at times. Anyway, back to the story front. Like I said, you fight the same bosses with everyone. You'll see certain teams encounter each other. They'll fight each other. Those fights felt a little, I'm going to be real with y'all, didn't really feel that great. But when they all finish their story, it looks like they go in their separate directions. Like Amy chases down Sonic to marry him. Sonic's like, okay, Eggman's done. Peace out. With the Chaotix team, they're like, okay, well, hold on. Who hired you then? That's like the one breadcrumb you get at the end of a story is like, you finish the Chaotix story and they're like, well, if you didn't hire us, who did? Because they're doing all these odd jobs. And I did like that, by the way. The objective-based gameplay of Team Chaotix was great. You know, because you had Chaotix, Rose, who was easy. You had Dark, which was hard. And then you had Sonic, which was like the generic kind of Sonic gameplay. And I felt like each of them served their right purpose. Like, Rose was a lot of fun because it was just like smooth sailing after I was agonizing during the Sonic playthrough. But a lot of people have an issue with Chaotix. I feel like that was the most perfect response you could have had to all of my issues with Sonic Adventure 2 and the Knuckles missions, the objective missions. They were terrible. So for me, thumbs up for Team Chaotix. That was such a fantastic response to my personal feedback all these years later. So anyway, their stories conclude. Some converge, some provide breadcrumbs, some do not. You find out once you're all done, you got to get 7 Chaos Emeralds. You got to go through these special stages and hunt down Chaos Emeralds. What were we thinking here? The game was over there. The game was over there. Really talk about bang for your buck for its timing. It took me upwards of 16 to pushing on to 20 hours to do all this stuff, and only to unlock like an 18-minute, 20-minute segment where you see this super long cutscene of Metal Sonic coming together in 1,000,001 pieces, and I'm like, dude, I could have taken a dump, came back, and you still would have been putting yourself together. But he's putting himself all together in this long cutscene. There's a nice boss fight. All the teams have to do their separate parts in the boss fight. Then, of course, Supersonic happens. Amazing boss track. Fight your way through. I thought this was definitely a bright spot of the game, but a kind of like weak, underdeveloped villain. I felt like this is where you start to see Sonic as a storytelling medium go to the wayside. Not that other good Sonic stories don't exist. I have yet to find one, but I'm sure y'all will inform me down below. But for me, Metal Sonic kind of obsessing over Sonic, wanting to be him, them beating Metal Sonic, and then Sonic having this like Goku-esque moment where instead of finishing off this villain, he goes, if you want to challenge me again, try again. I'm like, dude, did you not see the monstrosity he turned into? What if there were other people nearby? He just nuked the entire Eggman base. But I get it. I'm overthinking it, right? It's supposed to be dumb fun. And that's kind of what I was upset about, is that the gameplay focus here was so strong that it took away from what I thought was a really good story in Adventure 1 and 2 being told. And I really want people to see more of that Sonic, because I think you get more ignorant people like I used to be, where you go, well, this is stupid. Why would anyone like this? But you go back to these OGs and you see there were really big bright spots of good storytelling, especially, again, I think the pinnacle being Adventure 2 all those years ago. And that's because my boy Shadow was at the heart of it. Let's talk about that, because, again, Shadow fanboy here. But that was the best part of the game. So you're walking through. I'm like, why are you here, brother? What are you doing? You're not with us anymore. What happened? You find out this man is a clone. And there's a ton of different Shadows there. Is the one you were traveling with a clone? I'm just like, whoa. What happens in Sonic or Shadow the Hedgehog now? Because I've played that game, but I never beat it, and it's been so long. It's like, now I'm seeking out answers. I need to find out what happened to my boy. I love Shadow so much. So to me, that was the best part of the story. Like, that was the biggest twist. I'm like, oh, whoa, there's a lot of him here. I didn't know about this. So I'm really keen on getting into Shadow the Hedgehog. When will I do that? I've played so many Sonic games in the last year. I want to give the series a bit of a rest during the summertime, but I'm not going to resist the call if it happens, because I know this fall I'm going to be playing Sonic Origins, Sonic Frontiers. I want to make sure I have Sonic content prepared for all of you to synchronize with that release, as you all know how we function here on Retro Rebound. So I will get to it. And also know we have a long list of Sonic games to get through. Like the Black Knight is one I want to play. Secret of the Rings is one I want to try. I have Lost World on my 3DS. There are so many Sonic games I have not played, and I want to break them all down. I want to talk about all of them. The series has won me over. I will confess that. The series has won me over. I was very resistant for a while, but when I realized that with Sonic Heroes, the biggest takeaway I can give you all is when I was raging, which I hate to admit, but when I was raging, I was coming back and having fun. Sonic Heroes was a lot of fun, even with all its flaws story-wise, even with all its flaws with the controls, and I think sometimes the game being way too buggy, like falling through the map type buggy, really frustrating. I still had a lot of fun. This would be a game that if they ever remade or did a sequel, I would be over the moon for, because out of everything, I know Adventure is like the good pick for a remake. I was advocating for Adventure 2 being a remake candidate, but this one, after playing, I'm like, this is top of the list, 100%. That's not to say it's bad. I don't want to take away from what this game does right. Like, you should try it out if you're interested in it. Unfortunately, back compat doesn't work, so if you've got to play this on an Xbox, you could do it on the 360, but the emulation there is terrible, so make sure you play it on an OG Xbox or GameCube, where I think it probably is best. PS2 version is apparently terrible, so I'm sort of middle in the road here with Xbox, which is nice to have. But because these GameCube copies are just otherworldly expensive. But anyway, really fun time. Sonic is winning. Sonic is winning me over. I really enjoyed the movie, especially that ending cutscene. You know, so it's been a good time getting into something completely different for me. I'm very much an RPG guy, JRPG guy, as you've seen on this channel, as you've seen probably on Mr. Matty Plays. That's what I love to do. It's what I love to play. So it's been refreshing to kind of find a new love in something that's like way different from what I typically do. So with that, those are all my thoughts on Sonic Heroes. What do you think about this game? Am I on the money? Am I not? You Sonic fans are great, by the way. I just want to highlight that. Like, as someone who's really seeing like growth of the channel through two weird avenues, Sonic and Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy fans have given me a hard time since day one. I have stories on that. But Sonic fans, even when I've come for your games, you have been more than understanding and embraced me as I have joined you. So thank you for being fantastic. We will certainly unite again when talking about another Sonic game. I already have like the itch to play another one, but I know I need to cool it. Just give it a little bit of a window, and we'll talk about it shortly, I promise. But we got a lot of other stuff planned for Retro Rebound. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, take great care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next Retro Rebound. Peace out.